Hello and welcome to WeMakeHit'z Entertainment. My name is Minister Earl D. Carruthers Jr. I am the founder and CEO of WeMakeHit'z Entertainment, which is a Christian-based entertainment business where we're looking to not only do the production of music but also do Christian sitcoms, Christian movies, Christian videos, put out Christian books, Christian comic books, different things on a Christian aspect to give our youth a positive outlook for their future, because as it looks right now, they have no future, and unless we step up and install the principles that Christ laid to us in them, they're going to pass away. And we have to really stop and look at this thing. They're our future preachers. They're our future evangelists. They're our future ministers. But we're letting them down because we're not installing in them the things that were put into us to pass on this great gospel which we serve. So I want to employ you today to just really look into what we're doing. And if it's something that interests you, please give us a call and let us know. We'd really appreciate the feedback. First, I just want to give an introduction of who I am and how things came about with WeMakeHit'z Entertainment and the affiliate businesses that go along with us. Again, my name is Minister Earl D. Carruthers Jr. I am a licensed minister in the state of Indiana through the ABSA and the PAW, which is the Pentecostal Assemblies of the World. I've been in ministry now fully for the last year and a half, 2 years. I've been in training for the last 4, maybe 5 years. And just this year, I recently got my minister's license where I could locally preach, teach, and do different ministerial aspects within the state of Indiana. I'm 35 years old. I'm a single father of 2 children. I am Christ intoxicated, just to nail that off the bat. I love Christ with all my heart. I follow hard after him. So anything that has to do with glorifying him and advancing his kingdom throughout the earth, the way he ordained it in his word, I'm all for it, and I love to see it. Not only do I teach Sunday school, I am also a minister. I preach, but I also do Christian rap or gospel rap music. And I have nothing against those that God is leading in the music who call themselves hip-hop, but me, myself, personally, I am not a hip-hop artist. I am not a hip-hop rapper. I am a Christian rapper or a gospel rapper. I rap the gospel. I sing the gospel also. So I just want to clear the air on that before we go any further. The reason that We Make Hits came about is because I was seeking the Lord one day, and I began to ask him, I said, what is it that I can do from the gifts that you gave me to help advance the kingdom? And me and him began to dialogue, and he said there are a lot of good Christian artists out there whose intent is to see the gospel of Jesus Christ advance throughout the earth. But the only problem is they have to go to secular or worldly producers to have their music done for them in order to create their CDs or whatever it is that they're trying to do ministry-wise. And I asked the Lord, what is it that I can do from my end, seeing that I have not went to school for these things, seeing that, yes, it's a gift that he gave me and my passion is music. And what the Lord told me, he said, I want you to put some things in place to give Christian artists an outlet to go to where they don't have to go to secular producers to get their material. And the more he began to talk to me, the more he made sense. And I want to make an appeal to all artists out there and all parents who have children that have a passion for music. You have to be careful what kind of music is backing what they're doing, especially when you call it gospel or Christian music. Because I was in the world, I was not always saved. And some of the things that we did in the studio, I'm not going to mention in full, but they weren't about the right. They weren't according to God's plan. So you have to think about the spirits that are behind this music that is being produced and the things that are taking place in these studios where this music is coming from. And then you want to take the gospel of Jesus Christ and put it on top of these carnal tracks and put it out there and try to win souls to Christ, when it's not going to happen, because it's like putting oil and water together. It's not going to mix. So what God charged me to do was to bring a Christian-based entertainment business into plan and start putting it together to where we have music that's based upon the Spirit of God, music that's anointed, music that's been blessed and been, how can I say this? Music that he's approved to go forth, not only for what he's called me to do, but for other Christian artists out there to set the atmosphere so it can be conducive for heaven. So when you hear the melody and then the words on top of the melody, it has such an anointing to it and such an effect to it that it causes change in people's lives. And see, that's where we're lacking in a lot of areas, because we as Christian artists have to go to secular producers to get our music. That's where WeMakeHit'z Entertainment comes in. And the spinoff of WeMakeHit'z Make Hits Entertainment is EDAT Productions. Now, EDAT Productions it's E.D.A.T. And the reason I did it like that is because EDAT Productions are the initials of me and my children, which stand for Earl, Danicia, Erica, and Thierson. And the reason I did that, my bishop preached a sermon one day about what kind of legacy are you going to leave to your children. In other words, if I was to die today, what have I built up or what have I done in this lifetime that I could leave unto my children so they're not faced with my debt, but they have a starting point that they can work with? That's where EDAT Productions came in. So now if something does happen, it's in my children's names. So therefore they get the company if ever I decide I don't want to do it anymore, or something happens to me where I have to leave the scene. Now they have something to work with and build upon that's already established, so they're not left with debt, but they're left with a starting point, if you understand where I'm coming from. The next thing that comes from We Make Hits Entertainment is Outer Limits Studios. And the reason it is called Outer Limits Studios is because when you're dealing with Christ in any type of form, he takes you to the outer limits, or he takes you outside of the box. So you can't pin God to a box. You can't put a box around him and say he just works in this particular area, because he's all seeing and all knowing. He knows the beginning from the end. So how can we box in this great God that we serve? So Outer Limits Studios came from that, because anytime you're dealing with God and melodies that pertain to his kingdom, it takes you to the outer limits. It takes you to a whole new realm, especially if you do it under his anointing and he's leading you through his spirit to do these things. The first group to come from We Make Hits Entertainment is entitled Bridges to the Kingdom. And myself and my son, Thierson Golden, a.k.a. Show T, are the two members currently working through Bridges to the Kingdom. Now, Bridges to the Kingdom came about one day while I was seeking the Lord in prayer, and I began to ask him, what can I do to connect with people, to get them to understand that the lifestyle that we live in this flesh is not conducive to what you created us to be. And he said, I created my people to be a bridge that leads to my kingdom, because I started it, but I had to go leave and assume my proper position next to the Father. So in being so, he started speaking to me about being a bridge unto his kingdom, which is where Bridges to the Kingdom came from, because he's the master bridge builder. But when we connect with him, when we go through that new birth through him, through the sacrifice that he made on Calvary's cross, then we become an extension or a bridge of him that leads to his kingdom, which is where Bridges to the Kingdom came from. So you see how it all goes into play in an effort to advance God's kingdom. In turn, We Make Hits Entertainment. So I implore you to take a look at what God is doing through this business here, because we're trying to appeal not only to the generation of the adults that are now, and also the elders that have laid the foundation, but we're really trying to appeal to the children of this next generation that is coming up. Because one, they're so separated from God that we should be ashamed of ourselves. We dropped the ball when God told us to bring them up in the admonition of him, to train them under his laws, and we have yet to do that. Our children don't know who Christ is.